you go. Welcome, everyone, to our July webinar. We're doing this in June because we have a special guest this month. So I'm Mark with SAVI Coaching. We are obviously joined by Tyler, and our special guest for today and for the whole month of July is strength and conditioning coach Matt Bruce. He is an absolute expert in the field and has been a staple in the strength and conditioning space for a lot of years. I'll let him get into his background, but I'm really excited about this month because number one, I get to spend time with an old friend. Matt was the head strength and conditioning coach at Catholic High School when I was the head coach there, and he worked with all of our programs. And I love going in the weight room because I have so much respect for strength and conditioning, and whether this is a need for your program or not, I think you're going to find the next hour and the next 30 days really valuable because what I think strength and conditioning coaches do very well is they program. They begin with the end in mind and they'll block off 4 or 5, 6 weeks and they have a clear path and clear goals and they create that process of how to achieve those goals. And then periodization is, I think, something that all coaches, especially basketball coaches, can pay attention to, and that is just adjusting volume and intensity based on what you're coming off of and what's coming ahead. Also, there's no fluff in the weight room, right? Like you've got your exercises, and I think that you're going to do. And I think sometimes basketball coaches or coaches in general will just do some drills or do things that they've always done. They don't necessarily know why. It's just something they've absorbed. In good strength programs, there is no fluff. And then another thing I really loved about being around Matt is he was around great coaches all the time, whether it was his experience in college or working with professional athletes or winning 30 state titles or being a part of 30 different state titles. He got to pick the brains of all the head coaches. So he's got a lot of just like coaching knowledge, but not necessarily a sport specific background outside of powerlifting. So I think the next 30 days will be really valuable. And when I say 30 days, I mean, Matt is going to be in our SAVI coaching community, sharing content, answering your questions, and building out a specialized strength and conditioning program for your program. So he'll talk about that a little bit later. Matt, why don't you just go into a little bit of your background and bio, and then we'll jump into 3 ways that you can create a competitive advantage for your program.
Yeah, for sure. Matt Bruce. I'm the head strength and conditioning coach at Catholic High School, which is located in Baton Rouge. Like Mark said, we used to work together. He used to be the head basketball coach there at Catholic High. Before that, how did I get into strength and conditioning? I'm a former athlete myself. I'm a 2-time Olympian in the sport of Olympic weightlifting. I was the alternate in the 2008 and 2012 Olympic teams for the sport of weightlifting. And then after retiring from my sport, my coach was known to be an Olympic weightlifting coach, but he was also a strength coach. My coach's name was a guy named Gail Hatch, and he was actually a professional basketball player himself. Played in the ABA back in the day. So I got to be around these strength coaches. All these strength coaches wanted to meet my coach because my coach was known as the guy that understood Olympic lifting and how to incorporate it into athletics, right? So we think back to like the 80s, even the early 90s, not many sports were even doing Olympic lifting within their training. So he's arguably one of the first guys to really bridge that gap of Olympic weightlifting as a sport to bring it into strength and conditioning. And so many strength coaches sought him out as that guru for to learn Olympic lifting. So he was a mentor of many great strength and conditioning coaches, such as Tommy Moffitt, who was at LSU for 20 years, Scott Cochran, who was at Alabama for all those national championships that they won, Vic Valoria, who's now at Baylor. We have currently over 100 strength coaches in the NCAA right now that were mentored either directly under Coach Hatch or under one of his mentees, right? So when I retired from sport in 2012, it was kind of my calling. I was supposed to become a strength coach, but I didn't feel the challenge of just going and doing what everybody else was doing. So when I first started being a strength coach, I was like, I want to take these principles and I want to adapt them to a sport that Coach Hatch has never been a part of, or none of his mentees have ever been a part of. So I actually started a company in the sport of CrossFit. Our company was called Brute Strength, and we were an online strength and conditioning company for the sport of CrossFit because CrossFit really enticed me because it combined all the modalities. It combined, you had to be able to run a marathon or row a marathon, but you'd also have to be able to lift heavy weights, right? So I wanted to take coaches' principles and see if I can adapt them to such a demanding sport as CrossFit. So I built up that company, and I ended up selling it a couple of years ago, but we built it to where we had the #1 team in the country. We won the CrossFit Games. We have an athlete that won the CrossFit Games this past year. And everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, and I was living that entrepreneurial life, but what I was missing was a community. And so my alma mater, Catholic High, reached out to me and wanted me to come and be a strength coach there. And so I chose that opportunity, sold my business, and became a strength coach over at Catholic. Like Mark said, we've won over 30 state championships there, including a state championship in basketball, state championship in football, a national championship in baseball last year, also one state championship this year in baseball. And we've done all that within a period of 5-6 years. This will be my 6th year there, right? In the meantime, I also created an online company called the Moffitt Method. Me and Tommy Moffitt, like I had said before, who was a strength coach at LSU for all those years, we created an online strength and conditioning program where we help high schools and smaller colleges that don't have a strength coach, which probably most of y'all kind of fit that bill. And we fulfill that role remotely for them. We program everything for them through an online app and software so that those coaches can stay in their expertise, which is basketball or football, right? And then we handle the workload of programming all the strength and conditioning needs for their sport.
Awesome, man. Well, we're excited to have you in the program. Why don't you talk about this? So you have worked at all different levels, professional athletes. You were a part of the LSU Final Four team back in 2006 that got their brains beat in by UCLA, Russell Westbrook, and that group. Um, you've worked with high school programs, and then I know you do some middle school as well. Just give it an outline, or maybe the similarities or differences between working with all those levels, because we likely have some high school coaches at all different levels listening. We probably have some college coaches listening. I know you're kind of niche in the college space, is the smaller colleges like NAIA or D3 that may not have their own dedicated strength coach. Just talk about how you would balance the work between those levels.
So it's really interesting. When it comes to middle school, especially high school, that's where you're truly developing these athletes as far as building their strength, their power, their explosiveness. Typically, if they come from a good high school program, once they get to college, these athletes are pretty developed already, and you'll continue to develop them through college. But the higher you get, the less coaching is needed, right? Let's take a strength coach at the NFL. He's truly only coaching, the 6 rounders or the undrafted free agents, because you're not going to tell Drew Brees what to do in the weight room, right? Something he's been doing has been getting them there, doing the right things before, right? So he's probably coming there doing his own thing, and at that high of a level, you're kind of just making sure nobody gets hurt and everybody's safe in the weight room, right? So the biggest difference is true development, I feel, takes place in the high school to early college, and then after that, you can get more sports specific and really more injury prevention later on in their careers, because by that time, they're pretty developed. They're not necessarily going to get any stronger or any more explosive per se, right? So it's something they've done before has got them to that point. And so at that level, high level college pros, you're just making sure that those guys don't get injured. So that's why I love the high school, early college area, because I can truly take a 14-year-old kid over a 4-year period and develop them to be an amazing athlete, right? And you get to also develop them, psychologically, intellectually, because there's a lot going on during that pubescence time, and to me, I cherish that the most, because I can watch these kids develop mentally and physically, and in essence, man, at that age, you're working with athletes with steroids, more or less, right? They have so much testosterone pumping through their body naturally. It's so fun to watch them develop. Like they get stronger every week, right? And it's just so fun to watch that. And I take a lot of pride going on that journey with them.
Yeah, I love hearing about the different. I mean, whenever you watch like the professional athletes, they're doing like all balance stuff, all core stuff. It's like their training just goes to a whole different, almost like genre there.
Yeah, in their mind, every year is a paycheck, right? So as long as they can keep themselves healthy year to year, that's the main thing that they're focused on. Again, they already have a 42-inch vertical. They're not worried about getting to a 43-inch vertical. They're more worried about keeping their body healthy so that they can play in all the games, right, and recover.
Yeah, once my vertical got to 42 inches, I kind of stopped working at it as well.
I feel like 25 was kind of my cap, but some of us have more natural gifts than others. Matt, I got a quick question for you. So right now, my daughter is all about basketball. We've got a youth academy out here, and a question that a lot of parents ask me is, what age is the right age for a young athlete to start strength and conditioning? What would you say to that?
So pure strength and conditioning can arguably start at any age, right? But with that, if they're prepubescence, right, before puberty really kind of hitting, you would really want to focus more on gymnastics. I think tumbling kind of stuff, body awareness stuff. To be honest with you, probably the best thing they can be doing is like something to do with gymnastics, learning how to handstand walk and just do muscle ups and pull ups and things like that. Once they get to the age of you know, fifth, sixth grade, they can start strength training. But at that age, everything we do is what we call benchmarks, right? Until they can do 5 perfect reps on, let's say, a bench press. Until your daughter can do 5 perfect reps with a said weight, is she allowed to go up 5 pounds for her next set or 5? And she'll never do triples or doubles or singles until she's probably almost into high school, right? So in that middle school, 5th grade to 8th grade realm, you really want to focus on what we call benchmarks, never maxing them out on any single lift. And until they can do 5 reps perfectly at a weight, or even 3 reps, so, later middle school, they can do 3 rep maxes, as we call them. That's where you really want to put the focus on, which is going to be technique and not overloading the athlete.
Okay, that makes my mind go just to the practical, which maybe I'll just take a quick moment to share with all the coaches listening. So now, like, I'm not an expert in those things. I'm like, what are the benchmarks, right? What does a perfect rep look like? I don't know, but I would love to be able to hand that to my program or my team. And so I just want to take this moment to share with all of our coaches listening. That's what you're going to be doing for all of our SAVI coaches in this upcoming month, or any coaches that would like to join that have that same question. Because I get that question all the time on Twitter. I posted this on Twitter that we were doing this. Like, oh man, I would love to know exactly what my team should be doing in the summertime. And that's why you are coming in to share your expertise. So just a quick plug, Matt, before you jump in, is coaches, come and check us out at SAVI Coaching. Get your own personalized program here in the next month. Matt, sorry to cut you off there. It looks like you had something to share on that.
Yeah, so one of the things I'll be posting about this month is I'm going to be giving your community a free PDF that goes over how to teach the Olympic lifts, right? So as far as from my business standpoint, I actually get the coaches to send me videos of their athletes, right? And I tell them what they need to be working on and whatnot. We have videos attached to all of our exercises, and we have teachable patterns that we do. But typically, for you, for example, I would get you to take videos of your daughter, send them to me, and then what I do is I put it through an app called Coach's Eye. I write on it, tell you what they're doing wrong, how they can improve, send the video back to you, so that you know how to change those things with their technique, right? But yeah, but we have a huge PDF coming for you guys that's going to go very in depth, like a 6 to 8 week cycle of what you would do and how you would teach the Olympic lifts, down to like the very littlest things that you're looking for to be able to get them to be proficient in the weight room.
Yeah, I mean, that's unbelievable value. I know, that's why coaches come to us for their offensive or defensive systems, is they want that expertise built out that then they can make their own. They don't have necessarily the eye trained to identify lock-left defensive principles, or what you said about, actually drawing on the video of the Olympic lifts. That's what I do for coaches on shooting. And many of our SAVI coaches are like, oh, that's one of the most valuable things that we can get. So I'm really excited for the value you're going to bring and the impact you're going to have. Mark, maybe in a second, you can just talk a little bit on exactly how it's going to work within the community this month. And then I've got a follow-up question for Matt.
Yeah, I'll do a quick little screen share here. So if you are a current member and you're already in Savvy, Matt is just going to join our community, and he is going to be posting throughout the month of July, much like Claire's doing right now with our culture blueprint. So they will be several days of teaching, which will be consolidated into a strength and conditioning course that's going to live in our classroom. It's going to be evergreen for you. And what we want this to be is coach education, but also things that you could just copy and paste for you and your program. So Matt will be spending the entire month of July. Feel free to pop in, ask questions. We actually took a poll with all of our members and asked, how can Matt best serve you? Because all of our content in Savvy is member driven. So we deliver what you need and want. And a lot of coaches shared that they want to be educated more on conditioning, because that is a common question that we get is how much conditioning should we be doing, at what, when should we start, when should we stop conditioning, do we need to do extra conditioning in season? So we'll dive into that over the next 30 days. And if you would like, Matt can build a custom program for a strength and conditioning program for your basketball team, and that'll be geared towards the fall. So in July, you can work with Matt one on one. Tell him what type of equipment you have, how many days you want to lift, how many athletes you have, and he will write a custom program for you. Which is, I don't know what the value is there, Matt. You could probably tell us what you would normally charge for that, but all of our members are going to get that for an additional $50, and then new members would pay an additional $50. So for $147, you get access to all of our Savvy resources, but you also get access to Matt as your strength and conditioning expert. Matt, you want to talk a little bit about how you're going to, what you maybe look for in a program, or how you go about designing these programs for coaches that you're currently working with?
Yeah. So first thing that so I'll hop on a call with the new members, right, that are joining this program, and first I want to see what have y'all been doing, right? How many days a week are y'all working out? How long are you in the weight room? Then we look at what type of equipment you have, right? Then we talk about when is your season? How far along are you? Are you playing summer ball? We talk through those things, and then we talk about what are the absolute no's for you in the weight room, right? So I come from an Olympic weightlifting background, but I have some schools that I work with that say, Coach, I understand, I do not want to do snatches. Coach, no worries, right? Or I don't want to do jerks, right? We talk through that, right? What are some of the things that you don't feel comfortable in your weight room, right? And we find ways to work around that. And then after that, I go to the drawing board. I'll make up a sample week of what I think a program would be beneficial for you and your team. You'll look through that week. We talk through that week. And then if you say, once you give me the go ahead, hey, Coach, we're now on the right track, then I'll build out, that whole month template for you. And then we're communicating every week, typically by text. Hey, Coach, how are things? It may be, I get not that's common in basketball, but like, let's say I got a football coach. Coach, we can't go outside today. We're supposed to go outside and do gassers or run. What can we do instead inside, right? And then I go into the software. I make the changes to it. Everything is programmed through an app called Team Builder, right? All the students or athletes at your program will have access to the app. They'll have their own login, their own profile, and they'll be able to go along the journey through the app at on their own, being able to watch the videos the night before and record all their numbers into the software.
That's amazing. All right, Tyler,
Beautiful.
Matt,
let me just interrupt. So we've already had our first 2 coaches opt in to the month with you, Matt, even just coming off this live webinar. So do not delay. I'm pretty pumped up about it. Okay. So Matt, we Mark and I tell coaches, okay, here are some of the most common errors that we see when a coach implements drive and space offense or implements LockLeft defense. I wouldn't have the slightest clue to say what are the most common mistakes most coaches make or most teams make when implementing a strength and conditioning program for their team. I think a lot of times we can see our most significant gains by eliminating our most glaring errors. So what, like if we're trying to add some value to coaches that are going to be watching this live or recorded, what are some common errors that you see athletes or coaches make that you would say, hey, stay away from this?
Yeah. So first, and Mark will attest to this. A lot of coaches think that more is better in the weight room, right? Mark can probably tell you once I came on board at Catholic Eye while he was still coaching, we were spending less time in the weight room than they were before, right? So a lot of coaches are under the misconception that more is better, and that's not always the case. Number two is coaches don't have any kind of periodization into their programming, right? And that's going to be one of the topics we talk about today is how can you measure, or how can you build a program of, because all periodization is, for those that don't know, periodization is how do I map out a program and periodize it through the months or throughout a year, right? And with that, you have times where the intensity is a lot higher, volume's a lot lower. There's other times where the volume or reps are a lot higher, intensity is lower, right? And the biggest problem with coaches is they know the right exercises they need to do, but they don't know how to set up a month-long cycle or a 3-month cycle of how do you vary the volume and intensity throughout that 3 months so that they're peaking at in time for the season, or they're not peaking too early in the season so that they're peaking later in the playoffs and whatnot. So yeah, two biggest things would be they think more is better, and number two is that they don't do any kind of periodization. They do Windler's 5-3-1 programming, and don't truly understand how to increase, decrease volume and intensity throughout a cycle so that athletes peak at certain times.
It's good. The more I listen to you talk, the more I realize how little I know about the subject. And so, and I'm thinking about this. I'm like, man, and I feel like I'm a very experienced basketball coach. And I mean, this is why we're just very grateful, Matt, to have you bringing your expertise to our coaches community this month, because I think basketball coaches are really inexperienced in this area. And so it's so incredibly valuable.
I feel the same way when I go out and watch you guys coach basketball. I have no clue what y'all are doing. I enjoy it, right? But I am lost. I go out to football practice almost every day at Catholic High, and I couldn't even tell you what any of their signs or signals are, or what even defense we're playing, right? Because my expertise is I'm a strength coach. I'm not a football player. I'm not a basketball coach. I am a strength coach. I know how to do one thing and one thing good, and that's to get guys bigger, faster, and stronger to excel in their sport, right? And I don't try to pretend like I know anything else. Like I'm very honest with coaches. If they try to talk strategy of basketball or football to me, hey, coach, you just need to let me know, do we need to get the guys faster, or do we need to get them bigger, and then I can work with that.
Yeah, I do know you can do one thing on the basketball court, and that is stand underneath I don't know if you can do it anymore. You're getting older, but you can like flat foot dunk, and you're not very tall, shorter than me, I would say. And so that's pretty explosive.
Yeah, in my prime, I had a 44-inch vertical. I'm 5'5" 3/4. I could stand under a goal, and I could jump at 5'5". I could jump and double-handed dunk a basketball into the goal. And I never practiced jumping. I never played basketball. It's purely from the way we trained, right, through Olympic lifting that made us to be explosive.
Well, Matt, all you have to do is guarantee that every 5'5" kid in the world could dunk. If they do your program.
Right. Now, genetics play a lot into that, right? So don't get me wrong about that. And typically, so my coach would always play about this, like, hey, did basketball make Shaquille O'Neal taller? No, because he was tall, he played basketball, right? Did weightlifting make me any shorter? No. I was 5'5", very explosive. I was built to be a weightlifter, not a basketball player, right? So genetics does play a lot into that, but there's plenty of proof in why doing hang cleans, power cleans, those types of movements of jumping with weights will allow you to increase your vertical over time, right? Because if I can. And my best clean ever was 440 pounds, right? So if I can jump with 440 pounds and catch it, imagine what I can jump without holding on to 440 pounds, right?
Yeah. So one thing I loved about you, because you talked about like, hey, I don't know football, I don't know basketball, but you do know what transfers to the field or to the court. And what I actually loved about working with you is you didn't have like a strong allegiance to any sport. You weren't a former football player that looked everything through the lens of a football coach. You really look at it through the lens of the athletes. Like what do your teams need? What are you coming off of? What's ahead? What phase of the season are you in? And you were always really, really flexible as far as working with that. So I think that's the really value of having that program written out for you.
To be honest with you, probably my most prideful moment, and other coaches will see this, I would say my most prideful moment was when we won a state championship in basketball, right? Catholic High is known as a powerhouse in football. We've won 3 state championships since I've been there under 3 different head coaches. But my most prideful moment was when we won a state championship in basketball, because I knew that had never been done in Catholic High's history before. And the school's over 125 years old, right? Yeah. So you're right. I had no allegiance to any sport. I didn't play any sports in high school. I got started Olympic lifting in the 8th grade. I was identified in the 8th grade as having a talent for that. And I never went and played any other sport. So, I had no allegiance to any sport or any coach or anything like that. I love winning. And I love getting these teams to, be successful.
Yeah, we recorded a podcast this week. It'll drop next week, and we kind of went more in depth in some of the stuff that we're talking about now. So I think it'll be a good listen for all coaches. But one thing I shared is like the best teams I've ever been a part of have always been the strongest. Like very rarely are your strongest teams not your best teams, and that comes with just discipline and staying true to the weight room. All right,
Mark, can I interject on that just really quick? So, and I just would urge all of our coaches listening live and recorded. I think that this is an absolute outlier where you can see significant competitive advantage in this area, both from my journey as an athlete and all of the athletes that I've coached. 3 of the most common areas that are pain points for coaches and athletes can be addressed just by getting stronger. First and foremost, like how do we finish better at the rim? We miss so many layups. Like we need to go practice layups. And Mark, you and I all the time are like, okay, just going and practicing open layups doesn't translate to finishing contested layups in a game. Right. And offering finishing solutions can help a little bit, but honestly, without any skill improvement, you just get stronger and you will finish against contact better. It's just an absolute cheat code. Second one, confidence. How do I get my team to be more confident? How do I get my players to be more confident? When a player gets stronger, and they're driving to the rim, there's that moment of contact, and the defender bounces off you, confidence explodes in a player. Like just getting stronger leads to more confident players across the board, right? It takes years and years and years to become a more confident shooter. It takes 30 days of getting stronger to become a more confident player. And then lastly, turnovers. Man, we have a turnover problem. Just get stronger and you'll have less of a turnover problem. So it's just an absolute cheat code, and yet it doesn't get nearly enough attention, probably because coaches go to the tools that they're most comfortable with. I'm comfortable making players better shooters. So when I want my team to be better, I'm going to teach shooting. Most basketball coaches aren't comfortable with, I can make my team stronger. And so that's why we're bringing in an expert in Matt. So I just wanted to I believe in this so much. I just wanted to say, coaches, you're missing out if you don't take advantage of this for 1 month.
Yeah. Also, one thing, rebounding too. Like, you're not a good enough rebounding team, get stronger. LeBron James is LeBron James because he's bigger, faster, and stronger with everybody. I would say not so much because of his physical skills on the basketball court. Like, is he skilled? Absolutely. Not taking anything away from his basketball, but he's 6'8", however many hundreds of pounds, and can move like a deer. That always helps. So I think traditional basketball, or old school approach, is I don't want to lift and get bulky and it affect my shot. Gosh, look at the NBA players; they're physical specimen. Yeah. Okay, Matt, you talked about periodization. Tyler asked you hey, what are some common errors? Maybe just touch on a couple things that every program should have. So if I'm a coach, whether it doesn't matter what level, and I'm thinking of my team and my program as far as strength and conditioning, what are some things I just should not do without?
All right. So number one is going to be some type of Olympic lifting, right? I understand that all coaches are into Olympic lifting or they feel nervous to teach it. But like I said, I'm going to try to help y'all through that, give y'all a free PDF to navigate that. I would say number one is coaches aren't utilizing the Olympic lifts. And we'll just talk about one in particular, the power clean, right? You'll have coaches that'll argue with you and say, oh, I can get the same amount of force production by doing a trap bar jump, right? Jumping with a trap bar deadlift, right? And the science has greatly shown that's not true, right? There's no superior lift to building explosiveness than the power clean, right? Or, you know, power clean, hand clean, people call it different things, right? Because two reasons. You're able to, like I said earlier, you're able to jump forcefully with weights in your hands, right? But most important, or second, or almost as important, is when you receive. Sorry, I'm getting excited. When you're receiving a clean, right? Your body has to catch the weight, right? And within catching the weight, there's a huge deceleration that has to happen, right? So if you got a high school kid that can power clean 225s, yeah, he's jumping with an exploding, but then he has to catch it, and his body has to decelerate down on the way down to catch the weight safely, right? And that deceleration is huge for basketball guys, right? Because yeah, you can jump all day, but can you land safely, right? Can your body understand how to take an impact within that landing, that you're landing and somebody's falling on top of you at the same time, right? So yeah, number one is try to implement some kind of Olympic lifting into your program. I understand coaches are nervous about teaching it. I'm going to try to navigate y'all through that as much as possible. Specifically for basketball also, athletes going through a full range of motion on their squats particularly, right? You need to be like, squatting to parallel is not okay, right? You have to go ass to grass. You have to go to where your butt is between your ankles. Hey, if that means that my 6'7" guy can only do the barbell, you know what? That's fine. But there's so much evidence that shows squatting to a full range of motion is one of the best ways to increase your vertical, by simply squatting a full range of motion. Also, squatting a full range of motion decreases your chance of a knee injury, right? Long ago are those days in the 80s where squatting below parallel hurts your knees. No, that's all been debunked. No, like squatting below parallel actually helps strengthen your knees, right? Because you're bringing the muscles through a full range of motion. With that being said, squatting, you need to be front squatting and back squatting. Okay, they're both equally as important. A lot of coaches just do back squats and they think that they're getting what they need through their back squat, right? But if you're not front squatting, right, you're not truly getting a balance that you need between the quadricep and the hamstring, right? Which can cause a pulling motion on the knee tendonitis, which I'll probably get a lot of in basketball, right? A lot of that knee tendonitis is because the quadricep is stronger than the hamstring, right? And a lot of times it's because they're doing too many back squats, right? They're not doing enough front squats, right? So yeah, one thing would be Olympic lifting. Number two would be squatting to a full range of motion. Another one would be like we had alluded to earlier, periodization. But why is periodization important? So there's two thoughts of periodization. You have linear, and I don't want to get too technical for you guys, but you have linear periodization and undulating periodization, okay? Linear periodization is probably what you guys are most familiar with, okay? It goes in a linear pattern, straight, which means I'm going to start with a heavy volume. Like let's say I'm going to do a week of 10 reps, then a week of 8 reps, then a week of 6 reps, 4 reps, 2 reps, and then at the end of 6 or 8 weeks, I'm going for a single or a double, right? And as my volume decreases, the amount of reps that I'm doing in that per set, my intensity increases, the amount of weight that I'm doing, right? So you have linear periodization, which is great for getting guys bigger, right? This is what bodybuilders do, right? They'll do a week of 10s, a week of 8s, a week of 6, a week of 4, a week of 2, right? And then that's great. And we use linear periodization in our programming. And especially if we're trying to if that coach says, my guys just aren't big enough, right? We're going to go more linear in fashion, right? But if you need to get faster or more explosive, then you need to be implementing Olympic lifting, right? And within Olympic lifting, that takes a lot more out of your central nervous system because you're jumping, right? Just like if all you did was shoot all day, right? Your central nervous system doesn't take much of a hit, right? But if I'm jumping maximal effort, sprinting maximal effort, your central nervous system takes a hit, right? And just like your body needs to rest. So let's take a bodybuilder, for example. He's doing linear periodization. How does he do it? He'll do back, bis, and tris one day, right? Then he has a leg day. Then he has core and cardio day. And after 3 or 4 days, he goes back to back, bis, and tris because according to DOMS or delayed onset muscle soreness, your muscles need 3 or 4 days to recover, right? And then you can attack that muscle again, and that's their train of thought. But once you start implementing stuff like the Olympic lifts or full body movements, that then taxes the central nervous system a lot differently, right? And because that central nervous system is taxed differently, therefore the periodization needs to undulate, which means you have you might go heavy or hard for 3 weeks, and then you have to have what's called a deload week. Y'all probably heard of deload weeks, right? Within strength training. The reason you deload is because the central nervous system needs up to a week to recover. Your muscles only need 3 to 4 days, right? Delayed onset muscle soreness. Your muscles get sore, and then, wait 3 or 4 days, they're not sore anymore. You're able to do it again, right? Your central nervous system is similar, but it's a lot harder. It can go 3 weeks of hard training, but then needs a deload, right, for a week to help the body's and the central nervous system to recover, right? Another thing, yeah, and like I said, I love this stuff, man. I can rant all day.
Matt, let's do this. Let's and I'm like, Tyler, the more you talk, the more I'm like, yeah, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you guys know what deload is. I'm like, no, we don't.
Deload, that's not in my vocabulary. I just do chest, buys, and tries every single day. Is that not right?
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't do that every day.
I'm kidding. All right, let's do some Q&A because we got some great questions coming in the chat, Matt. All right, so Jonathan, he's one of our members. Thanks for watching. All right, he's got a good one. What is the ratio of pure strength training versus things like plyometrics, or I guess like auxiliary lifts, and does that change per sport?
Excellent question. So in plyometrics, they're very important, especially for basketball players, right? It's a sport of jumping, right, and sprinting. So how much is the appropriate amount of plyometric drills? So typically you're going to have 2 or 3 main exercises, right? Let's call it power cleans, back squats, and bench press, right? Of those 2 or 3, you want to be doing at least 2 of those to be supersetted with a plyometric activity, okay? What a superset is you would do a set. Let's say I had 3 reps of power clean. Then I would immediately, or not immediately, you step off for about 60 seconds, 90 seconds, and then you'll perform like 3 or 4 maximal jumps, maximal effort jumps, plyometrics, right? So with that being said, you would want in a weight training session for basketball, you would want 2 to 3 sets, 2 to 3 exercises of plyometric activities done as supersets of your main exercises. And within that, 4 sets of 3 or 4 is probably all you need, right? For that, because they're getting a lot of jumping. They're jumping all day when they're playing basketball, right? But it's important that you're doing these plyometric activities while doing the lift, right? As a superset. It's called post-activation potentiation. If you want to go look it up, you want to, go down a rabbit hole. Post-activation potentiation. After I activated a muscle, let's say I did a back squat or a power clean. After I activated it, post that, right? I'm finding out what's the potential of that muscle, right? So therefore, I'm doing a jump. We're also telling the body that, hey, doing power cleans is meant for me to jump higher, right? And it makes the body understand that these 2 things work together. That back squatting will help me increase my vertical, right? And if you put those together, your body starts to reprogram itself. Neurologically, your body central nervous system rewires itself to associate those 2, right? So that it knows that doing power cleans is meant for jumping activities, right? And it allows the athletes to perform better, right? In a nutshell, I would say you would need 4 sets of 3 to 4 reps, maximal effort, plyometric activities, 2 to 3 different plyometric activities per day that you're in the weight room.
Okay. Yeah, post-active, all that stuff, man. I'm looking forward to learning more about this over July. It's going to be great because it can benefit so many coaches. All right, here's another question from Eric. How do we supplement and work in players that are already in a weight training class? So I'm picturing they lift weights during PE. Do they even need to lift weights with their current sport?
So good question. So if you had that, so in again, granted, every coach is different, right? But in a perfect world, when I'm trying to program for a sports team, I have 8 non-negotiables, okay? There's 8 core exercises we do every week, okay? It's a front squat, back squat, clean, jerk, snatch, overhead squat, clean grip pulls, and snatch grip pulls, okay? Those are my 8 exercises that I need to get in every week. And they're very important. Notice I didn't say bench press. Bench press is really not even that important of an exercise, to be honest with you. but don't get me wrong, we do bench, guys. So don't not join the program because we're not going to do bench, right? We do bench, but it's not one of my 8 non-negotiables. So if I'm a coach, what I would do is, hey, what did you do in your class? Okay, you did. What are you doing this week? I see what he did, what exercises. What is he missing? Oh, y'all aren't front squatting. Okay, we're going to do front squats. Oh, you didn't do any clean grip pulls this week. You didn't do any kind of overhead squatting, right? Then that's how I would decide what extra they need to be doing. And again, that's the beauty of having a strength coach at a school, because he's the one navigating that for you. So number one, I would get their program. I would decide what are your non-negotiables when it comes to lifting, right? And then you fill in those gaps.
Yeah, Eric, we're going to add, obviously, Matt's going to be part of our community. So what I would do is when you're in there is give them the program that they're doing in PE, and then Matt can give you feedback of this is what I would be doing at this point of the season. That's why it's going to be.
And most likely, if they're doing it in PE, they're doing bodybuilding stuff anyway. They're not doing anything that would affect what I'm trying to do. They're I doubt a PE coach is letting them back squat super heavy, or definitely not do power cleans in there, snatches, or most of the stuff they're probably doing is what I consider auxiliary work anyway. So they're probably not even touching any of my non-negotiables.
Gotcha. Okay. Another question from a current member, Mike. He asked multisport athletes. So his specific question is, I share multisport athletes in a smaller school. Is this something to use across different sports? I might be able to answer this one for you. Like, if you opt into this, Mike, then Matt is going to create a program just for your program. So you could say, 8 of my girls play volleyball, only 6 are basketball only, but they lift with the softball team. Well, he's going to take all those factors into account and write a program like just for your program. But Matt, I don't know if you want to just touch on multi-sport athletes in general.
So here's the thing. And people talk about, hey, how do you train a basketball player different from a football player, different from a baseball player, right? And coaches get way too stuck in the weeds, especially by doing too many sports-specific stuff at that age, okay? All my athletes are doing the same types of workouts across the board, right? My baseball players, my baseball team this year, we had 18 guys clean over 225 on my baseball team, right? When you're working with, especially with high school kids, they need to get bigger, faster, and stronger. They all need to be front squatting. They all need to be cleaning. They all need to be back squatting. They all need to be doing this. The difference in the programs between a football program and a basketball program is basketball, we might be doing more plyometric drills. Football, we're of course maybe doing more running, right? Soccer, you're only lifting 2 days a week instead of 3 or 4, right? But the core of the program is the same. Like, I'm coaching high school kids to get bigger, faster, and stronger, no matter what sport they play. And I think one of the issues we have with coaches is that they think that they need to be doing – they see it on Instagram, somebody doing a stupid-ass jumping with a ball and turning and doing crazy stuff, and they're like, we need to be doing that. No, you need to be lifting weights and doing it properly and doing the right exercises. If not, you're wasting time doing that kind of stuff, right? So in a nutshell, especially early college, definitely high school, all those programs are doing in my school, for example, they're all doing similar programs, right? We're all doing the same exercises, more or less. It's what my supersets are, breaks, and how often that they're training is what really changes. And truly the conditioning is probably the biggest piece that changes across the sports. But as far as the lifting is concerned, it's all pretty similar.
Yeah. And I mean, I was in the weight room a lot when baseball would lift and stuff, and those guys could lift really heavy during the year just because it's not as much running, physically taxing, stuff like that. So it is different, but yes, all the core lifts were the same.
And if you have that within a school to where everybody's doing the same lifts, right? When they move from football to basketball, it's not like they have to relearn something, right? They're doing the same stuff as basketball is doing. It's just now they're going from in-season football to in-season basketball, right? But the movements stay the same, so they're not going to miss a beat. It's not like they need a retraining period or starting back from zero because they're learning all these new exercises. Like, no, like we're doing the same thing across all sports when it comes to the basic strength training.
As you're talking, Matt, I just love how it just weaves into our coaching approach so well. One of our core beliefs is simplicity wins. So it's not like you have to teach a whole bunch of new plays for us at Savvy. It's not like you have to teach a whole bunch of new lifts for your program. It's really just plugging and playing the right things on the menu at the right times. And that's where the art is. That's where the specialness is. And I think it's the same thing for us in basketball, right? It's like we didn't invent anything new in basketball. It's just, what do you teach first and in what order and when, so that we can get good at what happens most. It's the same approach that you have. So yeah, I'm just pumped about it. Over 100 people here on the live stream excited about it. Mike said on the chat that he is so on this. He's pumped up. So I'm getting pumped up as well. So I just wanted to share a couple of quick celebrations there.
Yeah, I've got one more question for Matt, and then Tyler, if you just want to just one more time share with everybody what we'll be doing and how we're going to do it over the month of July. All right, last question. It is from our very own Frank Fogg. We got the Fogg factor in the house. He asked, how important is nutrition training or supplement training for high school coaches or athletes?
Okay, so first of all, a supplement is called a supplement because it's supposed to be supplementing what you're not getting from your food, right? In an ideal world, a high schooler doesn't need to take any supplements. If I was to recommend any supplements to a high school kid, it would just be whey protein after their workouts and a multivitamin. That's it. Like, there's no like hidden supplement. There's supplement marketing and supplements is ridiculous. There's only a few things that are actually proven to truly work, right? Protein, creatine, multivitamin, and outside of that, you would have to be taking PEDs, which are illegal. Outside of that, none of that stuff has been really proven to work. People say, oh, but what about amino acids? No, if you're getting enough protein from your food, amino acids are the building blocks of protein, right? If you're getting enough protein from your food and eating the right things. So then that brings me to the talk about nutrition. What do I tell my kids when it comes to nutrition? I try to keep it as simple as possible. High school kids if you give them something complex, they're not going to follow it, right? This is what I tell my kids, especially if they're trying to put on some weight. All right, I want you having 5 meals per day. Each sitting, you have to have at least 30 grams of protein, okay? Only one of those can be from a protein shake or supplement, okay? And that has to be after your workout, okay? So then I'll challenge them. Hey, what did you eat this morning? Oh, I had 2 Pop-Tarts. Hey, go look on the back of that box and tell me how much protein is in there. Oh, 6 grams. Probably not even. Like, it's like, okay, well, you've got 24 more grams of protein you still need before you can check this first one off your list. So then they start, well, what are good foods for protein? All right, morning, you need to eat eggs. Oh, coach, how many eggs do I need to eat? Well, if each egg has about 7 grams of protein, right, you probably need about 5 eggs in the morning. And like, their minds are blown because they're used to eating 1 egg or 2 eggs, right? And there's ways that you can do it, like let's say with 3 eggs and a glass of milk, right? But what I do when it comes to nutrition is I have to keep it as simple as possible. You need to have at least 30 grams of protein 5 times a day, and only 1 can be from a protein supplement. If they can do that and prove it to me that they can do that, then I'll give them additional steps. 99% of them don't make it past the first step.
Well, I didn't make it past the first step, so I'm going to go and eat some eggs as soon as we get off this call. This is good. This is going to be good for my pickleball career. Man, you brought so much value, Matt, in just a short period of time. I'm so pumped for you to spend 30 days with our coaching community. I'm so grateful. I'm excited for us. Coaches listening, live and recorded. Our goal at Savvy Coaching is to walk with you through an entire year and make it the best year of your coaching career. The best year of your coaching career because of the community of coaches that you get to be around. The best year of your coaching career because of the tools and the experts that we bring before you, like Matt this month. Like you as a coach in your program would be forever changed if you get to spend a month with Matt. And that's why Mark went and found Matt and brought in just a worldwide expert. So I'm so pumped for that. If you join us for this month, which I just ask you to try, if it's not worth the money at the end of the month, we will give you your money back. That's how much we believe in what we're doing. Head to the link that we posted with this video. You can head to savvycoach.com, SAVI coach.com. Join our membership. Join for a month. And what you'll get is not just our deep dive this month that Matt's going to be leading into helping you with your strength and conditioning, but you'll get access to everything else that we have, our entire SAVI dashboard, which has your offensive systems, defensive systems, coach development, player development, everything you need, even though we're getting laser focused on Matt's expertise this month. I invite you to join us. Give us a try. If it's not worth it, we'll give your money back. Join our current 350 other members and thousands of coaches that have gone through our courses worldwide. And I think you'll be glad you did. Matt, thank you so much for inspiring me to go eat eggs and get back on my Olympic lifts. Mark, thanks for finding Matt. Any final thoughts, Mark?
The feedback in the chat has already been amazing. Coaches are fired up. I'm fired up. I learn every time I'm around experts, no matter what field they're in. And this is really valuable for all basketball coaches. It can only help you help your program and your athlete. So, Matt, thanks so much, man. Love the energy. Can't wait to spend the next 30 days with you. I'm off to do some bench press. And
no, that's not a core one. That's not a core one.
Hey, it is for me.
Not negotiable.
It is for me. I'm doing bench press and biceps all day, every day until I'm told otherwise.
Fair enough.
Later, y'all. Stay savvy.